Donald Trump Jr. became the first member of the Trump family to testify under oath in the civil fraud trial in New York involving the Trump Organization. Trump Jr. is the eldest son and serves as an executive vice president for the Trump Organization. Former President Trump and two of his other children, Eric and Ivanka, are also expected to testify in the coming week. It's been 1 month since the trial began to determine the cost of the Trump Organization's fraud. More than a dozen witnesses have already testified, including accountants and former Trump employees who have supported elements of the prosecution's case that the organization inflated its assets for financial benefit. CBS News legal contributor Jessica Levinson joins me now. Jessica, it's good to have you again. The question of whether the corporation is liable for fraud or not has been decided long ago. Explain why and how that's the case, and then if that's the case, what's this trial about?
That's exactly right. So about a month ago, the judge in this case granted partial summary judgment, essentially saying there's no need for a fact finder on one of the 7 counts here. And that one count was the biggest, where he said the Trump Organization, Trump and his adult children, his adult sons, did commit civil fraud, that there was years of fraud. And he said this is, quote, essentially a documents case. He was looking at the financial statements and he said there's no material question of fact here. I can make the decision now. So with respect to the heart of the case, the question is really about remedies. It's about how much the Trump Organization and others might owe, and it's about whether or not the Trump Organization and those affiliated with it might be prevented either temporarily or permanently from doing business in New York. Having said that, there are 6 other counts. This was a 7-count complaint here. There are 6 other counts that are still on the table where the judge is making a determination about liability. Those are slightly more nuanced based on the facts of the allegations and defendant's intent. And that's why we have, frankly, this parade of witnesses.
Okay, so should we then think about the members of the Trump family who are there with respect to those other 6 counts? Do they have any role in this remedy portion, which is obviously whether the $250 million fine will be levied?
Yeah, absolutely, because we're talking about, in terms of remedies, potential monetary relief and potential injunctive or equitable relief, meaning you owe this much money and or you should stop engaging in this activity. So part of what the judge is going to look at is if there is a finding of liability with respect to the other counts, with respect to the other adult children, then what will they be prevented from doing in the future? Will they be prevented from serving as executives in businesses that are located in New York, for instance?
So Don Jr. said many times, I don't recall. Does that weigh differently when it's a case when you're in front of just one judge than, say, if it were a jury trial, which the Trump team declined to have a jury trial? Does that saying I don't recall, does that matter? Can you do that? What's the difference here when it's a judge?
Well, he can't. I mean, he did. So I think the difference is that it's a judge. It's one judge who is fairly knowledgeable on the facts of the case and the law, who is making a determination about the credibility of I don't recall. With respect to Donald Trump Jr.'s testimony here, he's been fairly consistent in his depositions and the testimony today in really trying to distance himself. As you mentioned, either saying, I don't recall, or you know what, that wasn't really me dealing with the details of the financial statements. I defer to accountants. I defer to lawyers. It's really up to the judge to determine whether or not he thinks that's credible.
Jessica Levinson, thank you, as always.
Thank you.